Welcome to the ETICS online tutorials. This is Module 10, Creating New Modules and Configurations. The ETICS system model defines a number of classes representing configuration items in a typical software project. The definitions used by ETICS are compliant with the standard CIM model, the Common Information Model. In particular, ETICS defines modules, objects representing software components or aggregations of components to be managed as a unit of functionality or deployment, called subsystems, and configurations, unique versions of a component or a subsystem. A module can have 0, 1 or many configurations, but each configuration can only belong to one module. Configurations can be defined for the project itself and for any of its components and subsystems. A configuration, in turn, is an aggregation of other more specific objects that allow to fully define its identity and behavior. The following objects can be specified: CBS or checkout commands, build commands, test commands, environment variables, properties, and dependencies. A platform in ETICS is an object defining a particular combination of an operating system distribution, for example, Scientific Linux 5, Ubuntu 9, Fedora Core 12, and so on. A processor architecture, for example, IA32, x86, 64, PPC, etc. And a C++ compiler version, for example, GCC 436, VS5, and so on. All the configuration objects defined in the previous slide are platform dependent. They are therefore attached to a module configuration by specifying to which platform they apply. In addition, a default platform can be defined for configuration objects that are platform independent. The first step in the application of the ETICS system is the modeling of a software project in terms of subsystems and components. A project can be partitioned in 0, 1 or many components and 0, 1 or many subsystems. A subsystem can in turn be partitioned in 0, 1 or many components. This model of the project is called the project structure. Typically, the project structure contains all modules ever defined in a project, even if not all of them are part of specific project configurations. A specific version of a project is called a project configuration. A project configuration is composed of one and only one configuration of one or more of the project components and subsystems. The tree of configurations attached to a project configuration is called the configuration structure. A project configuration doesn't have to contain configuration for all the modules in the project structure, but only what is relevant to prepare a specific release of the project. Project configurations have a special role in ETICS. Usually, they do not contain checkout, build or test commands and do not contain dependencies. They only contain environment variables and properties. The environment variables and properties defined in a project configurations are inherited by all configuration in its configuration structure. Project configurations are used as policy to define the general behavior of all configurations in the configuration structure. In particular, this mechanism is used to define common external dependencies for all configurations in a project configuration structure. For more information, watch Module 11 about managing dependencies. Let's see now how to create new components and subsystems in a project and their respective configurations. In order to create and edit modules and configurations, it is necessary to have the appropriate role or roles on the project or on specific objects in its structure or configuration structures. ETICS configurations are managed from the Configuration tab. Let's select the tutorial project. We can expand the tutorial project and see its content. From the project we can attach a new subsystem. This opens the new subsystem form. We can fill information in the form like this and save it. The new subsystem appears in the configuration in the project structure. In the same way, we can attach a new component to the subsystem. The new component form opens and we add the necessary information like this. More information, of course, can be added, but this can be done also later. The new subsystem and the new component appear now in the project structure. Once a component or a subsystem is created, a default configuration called component name .head or subsystem name.head are created representing the default configuration. We can now create new configurations for these objects, or we can edit the existing configurations, or clone the configuration to create a new configuration with the same characteristics. Let's select the component head configuration, put it in the workspace, like this, and edit its content. When the configuration is first created, it has no content, no additional objects. In order to add specific commands or properties, we need to attach a platform to the configuration, selecting it from the list of available platforms in ETICS. In this case, we select in particular the default platform, which represents information to be used for all platforms, for platform-independent information. Attaching a platform creates a set of empty containers or templates that can be used for adding the new commands or properties. Let's start with the VCS or checkout command. The most important command in the checkout list is the checkout command, which is used to extract binary packages or source code from various types of repositories like CVS, VCN or HTTP based repositories. For example, we can use a standard CVS command like this. The command can be parameterized using internal or user-defined variables from the ETICS property space. In this case, the VCS root is defined at the project level, and module name is the name of this module. We can save this information and do the same for the build commands. For example, we can attach the typical configure, make install commands like this. And save. We can also attach environment variables, properties and dependencies. For example, we create a new property for this component by editing the property list, new property, and we define the package prefix property, which specify where the component will be installed when its package is deployed. And exit. Let's take now the project configuration and move it in the workspace like this. The project configuration is initially empty. We need to create the project configuration structure. To do this, we select the project configuration and we click on the button Edit Subconfigurations. This gives the list of all components and subsystems in the project structure, and we select for the My New subsystem in particular one of its configurations. And exit. In the very same way, the subsystem configuration is initially empty, and we can attach to it a specific configuration of the My New component, like this. This defines the project configuration structure. This concludes Module 10. In the next module we will see in particular how to manage dependencies for configurations.